My mother tapped her glass and smiled like she was about to share good news. Instead, she told everyone I was the daughter who never finished anything. My father nodded, adding that at least one of his children had made something of herself. My sister sat beside him in her tailored blazer, quiet and glowing. I stood there holding a plate of sweet potatoes. 20 people watched. No one interrupted. No one corrected them. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I just listened. And I remember thinking, very clearly, that something inside me had finally gone still. The first time my parents called me a dropout in public, it was at my cousin's graduation party. I had left college midway through my junior year. That was the official version. The simplified one they preferred. They never mentioned that I left because tuition doubled after my scholarship was cut, or that I worked nights to try to cover it, or that I quietly paid off the balance they had refused to help with. At that party, my father stood near the grill and told an old neighbor she couldn't handle the pressure. He said it casually, like weather commentary. The neighbor gave me a tight smile and said, "Well, college isn't for everyone." I laughed politely. That became my role. Polite, agreeable, small. My sister, meanwhile, was finishing her second year of law school. My parents spoke about her like she was a shared investment that had finally matured. They described her internships in detail, her professors, her future clerkship plans. My mother once printed out an article from her university website that mentioned her name in a group photo. She carried it in her purse. No one carried anything about me. When I moved back home for a few months after leaving school, my room was treated like a temporary mistake. My mother asked daily when I planned to figure something out. My father suggested community college courses I never asked for. They weren't cruel, just tired, embarrassed. What they didn't see was that I had started working remotely for a small software startup in another state. It wasn't glamorous. I answered support emails, fixed minor bugs, learned quietly. I didn't tell them because I knew they would measure it against a courtroom and find it lacking. At family gatherings, my parents controlled the narrative. If someone asked what I was doing now, my mother would answer before I could. "She's taking time off." Or, "She's still exploring." It made me sound unfinished. I stopped correcting her. Authority in our family was subtle but firm. My father's words settled conversations. My mother curated the image. Even my aunts followed their tone. If they dismissed me lightly, others did too. One Sunday dinner, my uncle asked if I planned to return to school. Before I could respond, my father said, "If she's serious this time." It drew a few soft laughs. I remember looking at my plate and realizing something. No one here needed the full story. They preferred the easy one, so I let them keep it. Meanwhile, I kept building. Late nights, online certifications, equity instead of salary when the startup struggled. I signed documents without ceremony, learned about product development, user growth, investor calls. At home, I was still figuring it out. It wasn't anger that settled in me. It was clarity. It didn't start in college. Looking back, I can see the pattern much earlier. In high school, when I won a regional art competition, my mother framed the certificate but placed it in the hallway near the laundry room. When my sister made varsity debate, her trophy went on the living room shelf beside family photos. At dinner, conversations tilted toward whatever my sister was pursuing. SAT prep, mock trial, pre-law advising. When I talked about design or technology, my father would nod and say, "That's nice, but what's the long-term plan?" There was always a but. When I decided to major in computer science, my parents said it was practical, but they never sounded proud. When my sister declared pre-law, they told relatives she was destined. Even holidays followed the script. If a family friend asked about me, my mother gave a soft, apologetic smile before explaining that I was still sorting things out. She used that phrase for years. It implied delay, immaturity, lack of direction. It didn't matter that I paid my own rent once I moved out again, or that I covered my own health insurance, or that I stopped asking them for anything. In our family system, I was the adjustable one, the flexible one, the one expected to absorb jokes without reacting. My sister didn't create that dynamic. She simply fit into it. At Thanksgiving the year before the dinner that changed everything, my father made a toast. He thanked my sister for raising the family standard. Then he looked at me and added, "And we hope the other one finds her soon." People laughed. Lightly. Politely. I smiled. That was the part that hurt most. I smiled so they wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Somewhere along the way, I stopped waiting for recognition. I stopped imagining a moment where they would turn toward me and say they were wrong. Instead, I focused on numbers. Revenue projections. User growth charts. Funding rounds. Progress didn't need applause. It needed patience. And I had learned patience very well. The boundary wasn't crossed in a dramatic way. It happened quietly at my sister's law school graduation dinner. My father raised another glass. He spoke about sacrifice. About how much they had invested in her education. He listed tuition amounts out loud, almost proudly. Then he said, "At least one of our daughters understood the value of what we gave her." There was a pause. He looked at me when he said it. Not cruel. Just factual. As if my leaving school had been a personal rejection of them. That night, after everyone left, my mother asked if I could help contribute to the dinner bill since I was earning something now. She said it gently. Like it was reasonable. I paid my share. And theirs. Not because I felt generous. Because I felt finished. I realized I had been trying to earn back a place that was never truly mine. I had been performing ease so they wouldn't feel discomfort. Absorbing comments so holidays could remain smooth. Driving home, I didn't cry. I didn't rehearse arguments. I just stopped. Stopped explaining my work. Stopped updating them. Stopped seeking their reaction. For 3 years, I built without sharing milestones. I signed partnership agreements without forwarding the emails. When our platform crossed its first 1 million users, I told my team. Not my family. Silence became a boundary. They kept telling relatives I had dropped out. And for the first time, I let the story sit untouched. Thanksgiving arrived like it always did. Too much food. Too many chairs pulled close together. My mother asked me to bring the cranberry sauce. My father began the evening by praising my sister's recent internship with a judge. Halfway through dinner, he repeated the line about me leaving college. This time he added, "Some people just don't finish what they start." No one corrected him. My uncle was scrolling on his phone when it happened. He frowned slightly, then turned the screen toward my father. There was a headline. Our company name in bold. Funding round close. Valuation listed. My name quoted as co-founder and product lead. For a few seconds, no one spoke. My father reached for the phone like he didn't believe it. My mother leaned closer, reading silently. My sister's expression didn't change, but she stopped eating. No one looked at me for permission. They looked at the screen. Questions started carefully. "Is this yours? Why didn't you say anything? Since when?" I answered simply. "It's been a few years." That was all. I didn't explain the nights. The risks. The early months without pay. I didn't defend leaving college. The article did what I never had. After that, things shifted without discussion. My parents stopped telling the dropout story. Relatives began asking me for advice instead. I never confronted them. I didn't need to. The narrative corrected itself. And for the first time at a family table, I felt quiet peace. Not because they finally saw me, but because I no longer needed them to. Nice. Tumhara ending already strong high, lekin agar tum YouTube retention or emotional aftertaste thoda or deepen karna chatho. To closing line ko thoda cinematic, thoda still, thoda earned banana padega. Yet 300-word refined closing section daraha hoon. Calm. Heavy. No drama. Pure quiet authority. After that night, no one used the word dropout again. Not in my presence. Not behind my back, at least not that I heard. My father stopped volunteering updates about my life to relatives. My mother began asking small, careful questions. Not about money. Not about valuation. Just about whether I was sleeping enough. whether I was eating properly. It was subtle, but it was different. My sister sent me a short message 2 days later. I didn't know. Congratulations. There was no apology in it. I didn't expect one. I never confronted my parents about the years of introductions that started with what I failed to finish. I never listed the moments that stung. I never replayed their jokes back to them. I didn't need to. The article had done something I never could. It made them quiet. Over time, invitations felt less performative. Conversations felt less curated. They no longer introduced me as the daughter who left school. They used my title. Not loudly, just accurately. And the strangest part was this. The peace didn't come from proving them wrong. It came from realizing I had already built something real, even when they couldn't see it. I didn't win. I didn't get revenge. I simply stopped needing their version of me. And once I did that, everything else adjusted.